So the first thing I would like for you to become aware of, 3 things that will help you and support you in your audition journey and in your journey of life in general. So if you start to apply these tools that not tools and awarenesses on a daily, life in auditions or company class or however you choose to find or create work will become easier. One is the levels of awareness, also known as the levels of listening. 3 levels of listening. So the first level of listening or first level of awareness is the type of listening where you are going like this and like that at all the right moments, but you don't have a clue about what was said. It's the equivalent of reading a book. You know, you're reading a page and you get to the bottom of the page and you're like, I have no idea what I just read. And then you have to go back. That is level 1. It's where you might have the intention to be engaged. You have the willingness to be engaged, but you're just busy with yourself. Familiar? Mm-hmm. Or is it just me? Level 2 is the level of awareness where you're so fixed on the other person. Like the building might be on fire and you don't have a clue, you don't notice it. Equally, even more important is that you don't have a connection with yourself at that moment, so you don't know what your needs are in that moment. So level 2 is where you're completely fixed on someone else and losing track of the environment and track of yourself. Level 3 of awareness is the type of awareness where you're dancing in the moment. If ever you've been to a Batsheva course, they give you a t-shirt and it says available. Level 3 awareness is the level of awareness where you're available. You're available to the present moment. Most important, you're available to yourself. You're aware of what your needs might be. You're aware if there's a threat. You're aware of your thoughts. You're aware. And you're also aware of your environment, aware of the person leading the audition, and aware of of your partner saying something important to you, and also aware of what your needs are in that moment. Why am I telling you? During this 3 hours, I need you to start checking in with your levels of awareness. So just become aware if you're in a 1 or in a 2 or in a 3. Yes, and start to become aware of it so you can bring yourself back to where you choose to be tonight, which is with me. Why am I telling you this in an audition workshop? I dropped this information with a group of young dancers that I was working with. I think we were running an audition workshop with Hoffish Company. And when I mentioned this girl, she was still in training, she was in her last year, and she said, yo, when I became aware of the levels of awareness, I realized when she started to check in with herself in class, she realized that most of the time she's in a level 2. She's just fixed on the artist in front of her. She loses track of what's happening in the room, and what's happening in the room is vitally important because there's so much information in the room. There's people to look at and learn from. There's people to stay away from. There's people whose energy you can draw from and get inspired by. There's people whose energy you need to stay away from. And important in auditions also, and also when she was in a level 2, she wasn't aware of whether she was tense or not, whether she was executing them. I want to use the Hebrew word for corrections. Yeah, corrections, that's the word I'm looking for. So yeah, she wasn't aware if she was executing the corrections or not, because she was so busy with the external factors around her, basically. Mm-hmm. Now, what I've seen in auditions at times is that I was once in the north of the UK and I was observing an audition. I love observing auditions. And there was this woman, she was blinding, she was stunning, beautiful mover. And she was just so busy with herself and the artist in front of the room that she did not engage with the people around her, okay? And she was by far the best and most appropriate dancer in the room, technically, emotionally, spiritually, artistically, on it, yes? But she was unable to communicate. She was unable to vibe and to engage and to have a laugh and have a joke, yes? And for that reason, my girl did not make the cut. And this is one of the things that a lot of people find challenging. It's like, how do I engage with the room? How do I? That's another workshop, yes? But I just wanted to share this with you so you can become aware of it. And so you can start to make some changes. Awareness first, awareness first. So on one piece of paper, I would like for you to write the letter R, like at the top of the page, the letter R.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to give you so many R's today, and I need you to spot them as well. But because I'm giving you a lot of R's, we're going to start with the word awareness. So under the word letter R, write the word awareness, because that's going to be the key to almost everything we discussed today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Equally, running an audition workshop with Carrie Biggin from New Adventures. We asked her, so she basically explained, if I have a dancer who can function in a level 3, she didn't use those words, that's my interpretation of what she was saying. If I have a dancer who can be in a level 3, they may not be able to pick up all the information immediately in the audition. They may not be able to execute all the technical aspects immediately, but they have good vibes. They're in level 3, they're able to engage with the room. They're able to engage with me as the leading artist, and they have a good rapport within themselves. She will take that person over the one who is on top of their game, so totally suitable, but is in level 2.
Mm.
Yeah? So there you go. That's bonus information right there. So this is something to play with, not in auditions. Don't prepare for your audition in the audition. You gotta prepare beforehand. Hey, and guess what? 2 days ago, no, yesterday I got an email from someone saying, yo, Regina, people call me Coco, Regina, or Gina, or G, whatever, yes? So she's like, you know, I felt so self-conscious because everybody in the room before the audition was sitting down, and I want to do my warm-up. I want to be ready. That's your first R, ready. Write it down, I'm telling you. Ready, the R for ready. I want to get ready. And she felt just so self-conscious because no one was doing anything. Mostly people were moaning and stuff because dancers are very good at that. A lot of dancers are yeah. And not everybody, for sure not you, but a lot of them are, which is understandable because it can be challenging. And when you get tired, if you're working, when you get tired, the body can get into a depression. It feels like it's in a depressed state because it's so fatigued. Sounds familiar? Like you're very tired and then the body starts to like express itself in a certain way because it needs to rest. But very often you can't. You gotta work, you gotta do this, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, you gotta be here, then everywhere. But then the state of the body starts to influence the state of mind. And then the state of mind starts to influence the state of body. So you got a cycle. Yes? And this is another thing to be aware of, because sometimes people think they're depressed, but it's just the body being super fatigued. And then you have to use your awareness, make active decisions to break that state, of being. And then once you start to change your thoughts and start to change the feeling, start to call in the feeling that you want to feel, your body will start to respond differently. Yeah, but that's hard. And maybe it's not hard. Maybe it's just unfamiliar because you're not used to doing that. So start playing with these little nuggets of information. So when you have a long day at school or a long day at work and your body doesn't feel like getting up, start to change your thoughts. Start thinking different thoughts. Tell yourself different things. Call in the feeling of how you do want to feel, because chances are that you felt that way already in your life. I want to feel energized. Okay. Let me take myself back to a time when I felt energized. Where was I? What was I doing? Who was I with? Okay, wow, let's go. Start the day. That's how powerful you are. You're able to change your state of being in a very, very short time. Especially you young people, because your brains have not fully developed yet. So now is the time to create adjustments and make changes. Okay, now, language is important. What you tell yourself is important. Take the word try out. Try is out. It's a useful word. It's overused.
Yeah.
So, you know, in the process of trying something, you're in the process of changing something. It's an active process, and trying is, it's like, trying is an issue, in, especially in the dance studio, because a lot of people, you know, you hear teachers say, let's try. That's not you. You're not there to try. You're there to do. You're there to experience. You're there to be. You're there to become. So take the word try out of the vocabulary. If I tell you, I need you both to give me £500 and I'll try and give it back to you. I'll try. We're saying try all the time to ourselves. But what we say has an impact on our neurology. I see this in the workshop all the time. So when you say, I really want to encourage you to notice it when you say the word try, and start hearing other people say trying. Hear it, become aware of it. And when you say try, take it out. Start the sentence again and without that word, because then you'll notice that the sentence that you're saying is becoming a statement. I'm trying to make a change. Yeah? Let's say it again without the word trying. I'm making changes. Words are very powerful. So if I were with you in a room, we would do a little kinesiology exercise where you would hold your hand up with your eyes closed. And I would at some point literally try to push your arm down. That's the accurate use of the word. Yes? Or I would try and put your arm down. The first time I'm going to do that, I'm going to ask you to think of positive thoughts and great positive feelings in the body. Oh my God, I feel great. Life's going so wonderful. I can do my best. Experience shows me that time and time again, I will not be able to pull your arm down. But when I ask you to think about so-called negative thoughts, oh, life's hard, things are difficult, even if I give you a warning that I'm about to pull your arm down, you will not be able to hold it, because your thoughts influence your body instantly. Isn't that useful to know as a dancer, because you're relying on muscle and bones? So the moment you start to think negatively, your muscles tension, your ability to execute diminishes instantly. So it's now you've got to make this with awareness. With awareness comes responsibility. Oh, that's another R. Responsibility. With awareness comes responsibility. Now you know, and if you feel ready to create change, then you got to take responsibility, so you have the ability to respond. So if you start to take a responsibility for your levels of awareness, so okay, let me take responsibility and let me check, where am I? I'm in a 1. Okay, let me respond to that now and let me change that. Or not, maybe you need to be in a 1. Maybe there's a director screaming and shouting at you, or a teacher screaming and shouting at you because they didn't get late last night and they're frustrated and they don't know how to handle themselves. Yes, happens. And maybe that is the time to go in a level 1. So, okay, sticking with me here. And this is where you need to learn to separate the energy from the information. A lot of dancers that I see are very empathetic people. They're very emotionally very sensitive, amazing, beautiful, wonderful, great. But if you don't know how to handle that, it can become problematic. So and people are very often quick to take on the energy of other people especially in auditions, especially in stressful situations, because very often people give their energy away. Give their energy away. So if someone's in your face, and for those of you who live in Israel, this is all the time. When someone's in your face, separate the energy from the information. So I'm annoyed, right? A, turn, plie. A lot of people will start to get affected by this bit. Yes, and then they start to feel shitty. And then, whereas take responsibility and respond differently. Instead of responding to this bit, just deal with the information. So the information was the plie, turn. Turn and fix your plie after the turn on the count of 8. That's all you need to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's hard. And learning to walk was difficult. But you did it. It's just, you gotta get playful with this. So let me show you why you're here. So this is a post from that I found on Facebook from an artist of a big old company that some of you will definitely want to audition for. And we'll send your applications to, actually. So on the 2nd of January, she writes, okay, so I get to read 1,046 applications and have 5 days time to do this. Internet for me, blah, 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 blah. 1,046 applications and 5 days to deal with them. Plus she is a mother, plus she's running a company, plus she's a wife, plus 1,046. So this is on the 2nd of January. Then on the 5th, well then, thank you for giving me good vibes. I'm almost there. Only 130 applications to go. And I can honestly say that many dancers are better in dancing than writing applications or making promo videos. Isn't this like something my common sense would tell me? That if I send a dark video with, let's say, 8 people dancing with no instructions who I am, how long do I think the interest will stay fresh? Or if I send a video and the first movement is around 50 seconds, and that is when my back is slowly reacting to something. I just needed to get this out of my system. It sounds like complaining, but it really is not. This is why you're here, peeps. Now you know. Writing an application is all about creating rapport. That's your next R. It's all about creating rapport. Writing an application is all about building a relationship. It's about creating rapport and building a relationship. So this other artistic director or rehearsal director that I was talking to, and again, they go through their applications, a lot of them, whilst they're doing their normal work duties. Yes? So these people are overworked. All they need for you to do is to make their life easier. So this woman calculated, this is another like mid-scale company, rep company touring in the UK. She calculated that she has about 3 minutes per application. That's showreel, cover letter, and CV. 3 minutes. Hey, aren't you glad that you know that now? This is why you need to make your application shit hot and easily accessible. Your work needs to pop out of those 1,046. And let's get excited about that. Creating an application is just a different way of expressing your creativity. And as you see from that post, a lot of people struggle with that. But you're here to gain information. So that's really, really good. I just want to encourage you to start enjoying the process. You know, you invest some time in it and do it together with a friend. Make it a nice process. A lot of people, it's all about changing your perspective. Like a lot of people, oh shit, I've got to do this. Yes, part of the gig, man. Let's get creative. Let's have some fun with it. Put on a nice tune. The key is that you get into the right state of being. If you already feel slightly tired and like bored and like, how much fun is this going to be? So make sure you're in the right state before you do this. Maybe you watch a video of your favorite dance company or favorite dance artist or something else that inspires you and get really fired up and then start working. You see where I'm coming from? Important, hear me in level 2. Everything, every little thing I say is just a suggestion based on my experience working in dance school, based on my experience running the audition workshop, listening and working with a lot of artistic rehearsal directors. And what I'm saying is not the truth. You research, you find out what works for you, and go from there. Do not just take my word. Everything I say is a suggestion because I like to get creative. You might not like to do that. Yes, so make your decisions, take responsibility, do your research. Ding, 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 research. I don't tend to show many examples because they take them, they copy them. And the whole point of this is that you become individual with your application. So let me start with this. I'm going to share the screen again so y'all can see what's going on. CV structure. First, CV is one page only. Do not write the word CV or resume at the top of your CV. Instead, write your name at the top, big enough so it can be read from each distance. So it's all about building a relationship. So you start to think about a logo or a way that you write your name that's slightly different. Maybe use some color in your name, certain fonts. Get creative with that. Because what you want to do, your name wants to become an imprint. It becomes your brand. So when you see a big yellow M, doesn't matter where you are, you know we're dealing with McDonald's. You want to achieve the same with your name. It becomes recognizable. Creates a sense of familiarity. Mm-hmm. A lot of dancers write their name short because so many of you are very humble. Stop doing that. Write it big. It's okay. The headshot, generally speaking, is there so we can recognize you in the audition. In my experience, it depends on what type of audition it is. The first few, and again, guys, it depends on what type of audition it is. The first few moments, we are trying to understand who you are. And that's a big part of the headshots purpose. It's there so we can recognize you. So make sure it shows you as you would be in the audition. If you wear your hair up, then put a picture of you with your hair up. If your headshot is of you with blonde hair, you change your hair color or style, then change the picture to reflect the change. You need to help these people recognize you. You need to help these people understand who you are. For some companies, this headshot is important. This woman from Matthew Bourne said, you know what, the headshot is important to us. It shows us whether you've done your research or not. You know, when Matthew Bourne presents their dances, you could put those pictures on Vogue cover, right? It's like, it has a certain like to it. Mm-hmm. They look at headshots of, what's his name, Hofesh, totally different. So this is where you need to do your research. How are companies presenting themselves, the ones that you are interested in? And then you can play with, it's very important to stay true to yourself. Yes, for sure. So if it's not your style to be all vogued up, then, you know, stay true to you. But if you can deal with some vogue in your life, then you want to work for voguey companies like Ballet Boys, or then invest in a headshot that is representative of that. So when you take your headshots, take a couple of different types, different styles, and you know, you can take a really great shots with your iPhone as well. So if you feel like, oh, my headshot is no longer up to date, just change it.
Okay.
Then contact details. I just write email, phone with country code and the location, London, UK. The reason why I don't write my address or date of birth is two things. First is identity theft. And the other thing is age discrimination. I don't write my date of birth because of age discrimination. Man, I got some stories for you. So, of course, if they ask for it, then you write it down. If it's commercial work that you're after, you write it down. Not your address, but your date of birth, and you give all the statistics, etc. Different story. It can go both ways. You know, you'll send your CV to certain companies, and one time you'll get invited, and the other time you won't get invited. It could have something to do with your application. It might not have anything to do with your application. Yes, but if you start to notice that you get a lot of rejection emails, then you need to start tweaking your CV and your whole application. If you have if you deal with visa situations, my suggestion, unless they ask for it, don't write it down. Make them fall in love with you, and then you can talk about the visa after. Up to you whether you decide to handle it like that. If they go, hey, why didn't you tell us you need a visa? Well, Regina said, it's not gonna work. I ain't got nothing to do with your decision making. Yes, stand behind your decisions. Okay, some people write a personal profile. Challenging thing to write. If you decide to write one on your CV, then make sure you do plenty of research into how to write a strong personal profile. The purpose of a personal profile is to just show them, share a little bit more about you, because your CV is just facts, dry facts. So some people write a riddle. I saw a guy write a short poem, like really cute. Might not be appropriate for everybody, for every artist, but it worked for him. Be very careful because you are unique. You're very special, you're unique, you have unique qualities. Very many people write very generic personal profiles. I work very well in a group, but also alone. Never write that. Everybody writes that. So if you're unsure of what your unique qualities are, either book a coaching session with me or with someone else, or ask your friends, ask the people around you, do some research, because it's really important that you understand what's interesting and unique about you. Personal profile, no more than 2 short sentences. Write it in the third person. Now you can talk in the third person. And keep it short and sweet. If you have a CV that's really packed with information, and by the way, less is more, my friends, less is more. You see too many CVs that are hard to read because there's too much information on it. Next, my suggestion is to go into performance experience. If you're a student and you don't have any professional experience yet. If you have professional experience, yeah, so performance experience, if you're still in school and have no performance experience, no professional experience yet, you are a pro the artist and write professional experience or the equivalent. Now we arrive at another R, which is very, very important, is the R for relevant. The R for relevant. Usually, a CV is written in reverse chronological order, which basically means that you start with 2000, the year 2000, and you work your way back. But we have to keep in mind that the people that we're dealing with, the artistic directors, rehearsal directors, 3 minutes per application, or 1,046 applications in 5 days. We need to show them that we are that we have the relevant experience, and that it's us they need. So I was talking at some workshop directors at Rombear at the time a few years ago from the company, and she said, I just want to know the most amazing thing you've ever done. So let's say that you want to apply for Rombear 2, and they do a lot of the Israeli work now. And excuse me. And a few years back, say 6 years back, you danced at the work by Sharon Leal or something to that equivalent. If you would write your CV in a traditional way, that information would go to the bottom, wouldn't it? Because it's 6 years ago. But as Rombear 2 are doing a lot of Israeli work, it would be so useful to have that information at the top, wouldn't it? Because then your CV is relevant, it's relevant information, they'll be able to see it immediately. And that would be really useful. So how to go about that? Get creative. My suggestion would be to, and I'll show you later, write something like professional experience and then 2020 to 2014, and then write everything in the order that's relevant. So this is one of the ways that I get creative with the truth. Yes. I once got a CV sent to me like that. It's for me, no problem. I just got the information that I wanted from it. If you do want to stick with reverse chronological order, then make sure that the information that is really relevant pops out. Just because you send your full CV does not mean that they're going to read the whole thing. So, also, artists, listen to this in level 2. This section of performance/professional experience needs to be the biggest section on your CV. If you write a teaching CV, then your teaching experience needs to be the biggest section. If you're applying for choreography jobs, the choreography section needs to be the biggest. Performance experience, professional experience needs to be the biggest section on your CV. There are many ways to structure, research, go online, look at dance CVs for inspiration. Keep it simple. I see too many CVs with like brackets and bold and italics and lines here and lines there. Makes it hard to read. Your job is to pull my eye where you want me to look. What do you want me to read? What is important? Your job to draw my eye right there. Generally speaking, we write the name of the artist of the company, the choreographer, name of the work, where it was performed, who staged it, if relevant. Some people start that information with the name of the piece. I would start with the name of the artist. Next section, my suggestion would be to write workshops and courses. Again, you may have done loads, but the most important thing is that performance experience is the bulkiest, and then workshops and courses, just whatever is relevant. And then your training, just write your professional training only. If you have space, if you need to jazz up your CV a little bit because you don't have that much experience yet, then I would look at ways of fluffing out the performance experience. This bit here. Structure is so important, you guys. So really research that. And don't go fancy on that. Keep it simple. Make it pop. Keep it simple. If you've trained at a school that not many people know, give a little bit of information, what the background is, like what did you study there. Less is more, less is more, less is more. Other skills and interests, this could be different dance styles, hobbies like traveling, knitting, teaching, choreographing skills, first aid, driving. I had a student who was working for Black Box in Denmark, and he actually drove the company around after 2 performances and back, and he made some extra money. References available on request. Do not, I repeat, do not write the name and the contact details of the referee. Don't do it. Just let them know that they're available. Just write that sentence down, and you can supply that information when you're asked. Again, CV, 1 page only. Before you send your CV or your application, get it checked by someone else for spelling errors. Important. Let your work be proofread by someone other than you. I'm gonna say it one more time. Make sure someone else checks your work before you send it the first few times, because it's ridiculous, but people get really precious about spelling errors and names and this and that. Make sure, important, very, very, very important. And you got to trust me on this, but do this. Very, very, very important. Can you imagine having 50 CVs open on your desktop? Just open 50 documents on your desktop and see how much fun that is. And then try and look for a particular document. Yes, what you must do, absolutely 100% from yesterday, is here, write your name and the word CV, letter CV. Make their life easy, because the chances are, if they have thousands of people to look through and they cannot find your CV back, they might just put you on the no pile. You didn't go to school for that. Every attachment you send must have your name. Every attachment you send must have your name. And again, your first couple of applications, you see there's so much competition out there. Let me not use that word, competition. There's so many people who want the same jobs. And that's where detail will make the difference. Even if you are, if you are applying for, I've got 3 stories now for you. Okay, so I ran an audition workshop. This girl sent her CV to a company in Germany on Thursday. She was rejected on Friday. On Sunday, she came to us, gave her the same information. She then had the audacity, the balls, the gutsiness, the chutzpah to do her CV again and her application. She sent it again on Monday, got invited on Tuesday. She was rejected and accepted by the same company in 1 week, true story. The difference that made the difference was research. She took responsibility, did research, and she made her application relevant. The company was hot on floor work, so she made her CV in such a way that any experience like flying low, monkey this, monkey that, was reflected on the CV. Her show reel, she started with kick-ass action on the floor, standing up, finished with kick-ass action on the floor. In the cover letter, same thing, expressed how much she enjoyed floor work, which was the truth. You understand? Because what they're doing when it's an invitation audition, they just want to not waste time. So based on the application, they can see if you've invested in the research. They can see if you know what they are doing through your application. And based on that, they will invite you or not. because there's too many generic applications. So this means that every time you send an application, every single time, you have to adjust it. You cannot send the same application over and over again, because we know when you do that, you can see. And then it's like, they didn't do their research. They don't know what they're getting into. About 1,035 other people who have done their research. Okay, so I know who to go for. Now, can I tell another story? I had a girl in my school, lovely mover. She did an apprenticeship with Danish dance theater. While she was there, she wanted to audition for Nordans. But in the application, it said, only artists with 3-year professional experience are allowed to apply. Yeah? She's like, I want to apply anyway. She was an apprentice, wasn't supposed to be able to, she wasn't supposed to apply, but she's like, forget that, I'm doing it. She didn't write any of her date of birth. She didn't write any of her school year dates. Yes, I often suggest, don't write the dates of your training. Age discrimination. So she didn't do any of that. She wrote the CV with it. She got the same information as I'm giving you. She wrote her CV. She got invited to the audition. All I want is for you to get in the door, basically. Now, when she got to the audition, she got to the final round, and the final round was an interview. So the interview was in a circle with a lot of people. So it wasn't a one-to-one, it was a group interview. Y'all need to get ready for that. So, in the interview, it came up that she was an apprentice, and the artistic director was like, how on earth did you get in? I was so specific, I only wanted people who have 3 years experience or more. And Hannah goes, well, I must have done something right because I'm here. Now this could have gone either way. Yes? But I just want you to know that 5 years later, my girl's still, 6 years later, my girl's still there. Yes? Last year, I actually met the artistic director of that company. And she then started to talk about this girl who was in her audition, she said the girl had lied on her CV. She told a white lie. The artistic director felt that the fact that she left all the dates out, she considered that to be a white lie. Yes? And she said to us, this girl left that information out, and it was a risk she took. And I could have either kicked her out or kept her, and I decided to keep her. And of course I knew she was talking about my girl. She was talking about my girl. And I just need you to know that this woman is now the artistic director of Gothenburg. So if ever you send your application to Gothenburg, write all the dates down, because that's how she wants it. Yeah? And is it a white lie? I don't really care. All I want is for you guys to get into the room, and then from there, you need to deal with the situation. So if you decide to write your CV in a certain way and put something on or leave something out, then you need to stand for it. So if someone questions you, you have to have your answer ready, and I have nothing to do with it. I don't say lie. Do not lie on your CV. That will backfire. I don't stand for that. All I need is for your foot to get into the door so you can kick ass, and that's it. Same thing with her. 6 years later, she's still there, very happy. and the artistic director has moved on. One last story, then we'll have a little break. Another student who was a very mature mover, beautiful dancer, and he went to audition for Coolberg. And also with him, no dates, no nothing. He was 19, but my man looked like he was 28 and he moved like he was 35. And he got interview stage, they offered him a full-time contract. Listen, if there's one thing you want, is a full-time contract in Sweden, because these people, they look after you. It's a country that looks after you. So after he signed, they asked him how old he was, and he said, I'm 19. And they just collapsed. And he was, because he was just so mature. And he was certain that if they would have known his age, they would have given him an apprenticeship contract. Whereas really his level was that of a full-blown pro dancer. So there you go. A couple of stories for you to back up my suggestions. Yeah. Please don't copy this. Make your own. So, clear headshot. I'm going to go through this quickly. Clear headshots. Red looks good on her. Good for her. Ella Rosa's name is big and different. Phone number, blah, blah, blah. If you find that you don't have enough space, you need to save space, then you can, you know, play with this as well. Changing the thingy. Or what I do on my CV is just write P because they know what it means. And then E. And then location. Boom, boom, boom. Yep. Does that fit now? Let's see. Yes, look at that. Yeah. Oh, great. I saved 2 lines of space. Now, in order to get your CV, because some of you, like Bridget, for instance, you have a lot of experience already. So you change your margins like that. Change the margins and you have more space. Yes? Discard. Bye-bye. So I just closed my CV. Just need to open it again. Ella. CV. Boom. Here she is. So here's what I said to you before. We go now to a powerful, and this is the personal profile. So some people write personal profile. Don't, not necessary. Just write the sentence, the 1 or 2 sentences that you want to write. If your CV is overloaded, just take it off. But it might be nice to have something a bit more personal there. So performance experience, write the name of the artist, name of the piece, performance set as well. You might write who it's staged by, as well as staged by Chisato. If you feel you need more, you have a lot of information on there, you can take a different structure. But personally, I really like it when everything is underneath each other. So if you do this structure, make sure then that there's a consistency. This is the word I'm looking for. So consistency. in the structure. Yes. So then that everything is underneath each other. I'm rushing through this. Does this make sense to you? Yes, no? Cool, cool. So you can speak, I can tell now from the first three pieces, I could kind of guess what artist she's applying for. This is not the lineup that you would use for Richard Alston. Yes? So this would look more like a Rambert or maybe National Dance Company Wales or some German companies. I think that makes sense. Workshops and courses and master classes. You could write that it is a selection. Right here, up to you. Now, I told you 6 times that this section here needs to be bigger than this. So it's a bit edgy right now. So I might just take something out that's not so relevant, which would be Ilya here. And maybe Theo. Yeah, cool. Hey, and I wrote here that it's a selection, nice. Training, Royal Ballet School of Antwerp, cute. Other skills and interests. And then references available upon requests. So there's just an example of a CV. Oui, oui, non, non. And even if you have just this amount of information, totally cool, totally cool, totally cool. Because less is more. We see too many CVs that are overloaded. And then we needed to check. Another thing is this. Sometimes people start to do a lot of bold here. But only the information that you really want to draw my attention to, just use bold there. The rest, leave it simple. And important, is this. Is Patrick, last name, CV, done. Important. Get excited about it. Get curious, get inspired. It's just a perspective, change your perspective on it. You're saying it's scary, I understand where you're coming from, but if you talk to yourself like that, you already know that what you say to yourself has an impact on your neurology. So if you now hold the belief that it's scary, then you'll approach it that way. Whereas I want to encourage you to get excited about it. Challenge equals opportunity.